The cemetery, behind its discreet neighbourhood walls, appears as one of the strange and last shelters of dreams and illusions, of that which is different and unknown, of that which is extraordinary and magic. Hi guys, welcome back to another adventure with Grave Visitations. So today I'm in County Westmeath and I'm here to show you a mausoleum and an old church. Now the church dates back to 1798 and is a really unusual looking mausoleum that I've never seen before, and a very, very strange story behind it. So I'll just turn the camera around and I'll show you where I'm actually going today. So as you can see straight ahead, this is called John the Baptist Church, and it's a Church of Ireland building, and inside there's a very, very unusual mausoleum, and I'll tell you more about the story when I get in there, guys. But this is where I am, right in the middle of a field, and the church is actually in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by all these trees, and I've never seen a church to be left in the middle of a field like this. So we'll go inside and I'll tell you a bit more about Adolphus Cooke and his father Robert Cooke. Right guys, so we're in the old church and the grounds here, and that is the old church. Look at the spire on that, isn't that absolutely beautiful? An abandoned old church. So we'll walk around and have a little look and read some of the headstones, and I'll take you over to the mausoleum and show you. So I'll tell you a bit about the story. So Adolphus Cooke was from the area here, and his father's name was Robert. So the strange story behind it is that Robert Cooke himself was very eccentric and a kind of a bit of a strange character. He didn't really like children as such. He even banned his own son from living in the house and put him into a poor cottage on the land. And he had more time for animals than he did for humans. So back in the day, the early, say, middle kind of 1700s, Robert Cooke believed in reincarnation and believed he would come back as a bee. So Robert wasn't the only one in the family. His son Adolphus also believed in reincarnation, and he had servants around his house and where he lived dig very big holes around the land and the area, believing that he would come back as a fox. Robert, passed away. He had a nurse that looked after his son Adolphus. There's that beautiful old church ruin, and there's some headstones, and I will read a couple as I go around before we get to that mausoleum. But Adolphus had his own nurse, and the nurse looked after him for a lot of his life. And she's actually buried in the mausoleum. and her name was Mary Kelly. So she's buried in this strange looking mausoleum. Now the mausoleum is in the shape of a beehive, as Robert himself said that he would always come back as a bee. And there's actually a hole apparently on top of the beehive-shaped mausoleum, that when he came back as a bee he would be able to go in and out at the top of the mausoleum area. So Mary's buried there with Adolphus and his father Robert. So the three of them are buried in the one mausoleum. And of course Robert, as I was saying, didn't have much time for children. So he had two other sons, but they passed away before him. And so everything was left to Adolphus. So when Adolphus's father passed away, he had this mausoleum built in the shape of a beehive for his father. That was his wishes. He said he would come back as a bee. So before I bring you over, guys, to show you the beehive-shaped mausoleum, I'm going to just show you and bring you around this old church and graveyard and have a closer look. And there's the old tower of the abandoned church, and it is blocked up, so hopefully if I can get away inside I'll show you. So just over there is that beehive mausoleum. Now there was a trust who actually cleaned it up, and I will put the photos up on the video how it looked like before it was actually cleaned. And they were called a Folly Trust. There were local people here in the area, so they all came together to tidy up the mausoleum. Now the graveyard area does look very, very overgrown, so I'd imagine that they would come back and tidy up the rest of it. So here we have in loving memory of John Forbes, who died October the 1st, 1927, aged 56, and his wife Sophie, who died in 1939, aged 67. And we have more Forbes family members there. Jimmy Forbes died in 1951, aged 49, and his beloved wife Eva Jane, 2001. So Eva Jane, I think, would have been the last person to be buried here in this old graveyard. Now the top of that is beautiful, that church. Look at that spire. They called him, I think, like a witch's hat design. So what I'm going to do is go back around and read some headstones. So Robert Cooke, what a story, guys. And you know, there's probably more to the story, and I will add that into the video. I will add it in. But that's just a brief description of his life. And this is Nathaniel Rothwell, who died in 1918, aged 72. Also his wife, Jane, and she died in her 98th year. So as I was saying, it's Church of Ireland. And I've never come across, or never seen, a mausoleum in the shape of a beehive, or ever even imagined that somebody would have a final resting place in the shape of a beehive. And their belief in reincarnation. A couple of old ones here. This stone was erected. And I'm just trying to see, can I read what it says on it here. A lot of these are faded away, so it's very hard to read that one. But you can see the three of them there together. They're like chest tombs. Now I've had this video on my mind for quite a while, and I said I had to do it because I've never heard of a story like that before, and it's very, very interesting. And you know, there is a lot of people that believe in reincarnation, and you know, everyone has their own opinion about that. This is Arthur Molesworth. I think it's Arthur Molesworth, born on the 1st of April 1791 and died in May 1812. So it is extremely overgrown here. John the Baptist Church here in Westmead. Look at all that old lichen on it. In memory of Margaret, wife of Charles Burroughs, who died on the 24th of August 1880, aged 64 years old. Simply to die, cross. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but Adolphus, Cooke, Robert's son, actually wanted to have a mausoleum built in his own home. Now, I'm not sure where the home is. It's somewhere, I believe, not far from the area where they're buried. So they're buried here. But Adolphus, his son, wanted a mausoleum built, and I think from reading online they said that he had a marble mausoleum built and he wanted to be buried. But a local priest went against the idea, you know, because he said you wouldn't be allowed to be buried on unconsecrated ground. So he wasn't allowed to be buried in his own land. So he was buried with his father eventually. Now look at all these lovely leaves in the old graveyard. Look at that, the leaves falling. Beautiful colours. All the leaves are falling there, the beautiful colours. That'll show you how overgrown it is in all those parts there. And actually I'll give you a better view. And there's that church again. The cone shaped top, isn't that beautiful? So here we have erected in memory of Richard Reynell, who died the 4th of January 1958, and of his sister Louisa Ann Reynell, who died the 9th of August 1955. And this one here unfortunately has fallen over, and it looks like it was a cross, and it has fallen over, but I'll be able to read it, so we'll have a look. Loving memory of the Reverend William A. Reynell, third youngest son of Richard W. Reynell. I don't see any dates on it. So loads of holly grown here as well. You can see. Christmas coming close. Beautiful old cross here. Loving memory of Harriet Eliza Rennell, eldest daughter of the Richard Winter Rennell, and that would be the one we just read there, the Reverend. So this is Richard's daughter, Harriet, and she was born on the 20th of October 1833 and died the 21st of September 1920. Now look at this absolutely gorgeous chest tomb here. That's part of an old surrounding there on one of the graves. Look at that beautiful work is on that ironwork. So both of these have actually fallen over. The one I just read, there's another one here that has fallen over as well. And I'm sure that's part of the Rennell family. So here we have this chest tomb. And I'll try and read whatever I can. Here lies the body of Elizabeth. Now there is a bit of ivy on that there, so I'll take off a small bit. Elizabeth Dorothy Elizabeth. I'll just try and read it here for you guys if I can. Elizabeth Dorcas, never heard of that name, Rennell, sister of Richard Rennell, formerly of County Westmeath. I'm just looking for a date on it there, guys. Let's see. I can see in their 17th year of her age on it. And a year is probably there behind that. 1844 is on that. A beautiful chest tomb. Look at that. I'm going to make my way over around. We have another one here. Alexandra, a Rennell family member again. 1807 to 1874. And you can just see in this direction here, you have all these old trees. Look at that, have fallen down amongst all those leaves and holly in there. Beautiful, enchanting looking old graveyard. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. And I love these old ones that are kind of, you know, overgrown and stuff. We have a wrought iron railing there. And look at all those trees have fallen down on top of the gravesite here. Right down on top of all that wrought iron. So I'm going to make my way over this direction here. And I'm trying to get around, guys. There's thorns and everything around here. You wouldn't believe what's in here. So here we have the wrought iron. Look at that. And that's the part of it there. So I'll just show you what I was talking about. So there we have one part of it there that goes around. And all that tree has just fallen down on top of the gravesite there. So you can just see there's the wrought iron at the very back of it. And all the railing is here in front. So the tree has smashed the front part of this wrought iron railing here on the grave and just smashed it down to the ground. And I'll show you I'll zoom in a little bit more and show you. There's the tree there just after falling down on top of all that. Stones broke here. There's another cross that is just smashed, left amongst all those leaves and stuff, and it's very, very sad to see. And there's another grave just there, and those branches have come down on top, and I believe that one I was looking at there is actually part of this headstone. So the tree has smashed the top of that headstone and it's just fell apart. So we have a cross here, and this is Rainel again, Frances' eldest daughter. She died in 1916. So if you hear me struggling, guys, in here, you'll understand, because I've been in a lot of old abandoned graveyards, and this one is just another one of those. So I'm not going to go too much in around there, but there you can see what I'm talking about. Just very, very difficult to get around. So the main part of it is this mausoleum, and I'm going to bring you over there now to show you the Beehive Mausoleum that houses the remains of Adolphus Cooke and Robert Cooke and Mary Kelly, the nurse. You can actually still see, there's the old piping, look at that. The old piping is still there. That was part of the church, and this church goes back as far as 1798. Isn't that amazing to see the old pipework? So I want to give a shout out, actually, while I'm here, to any of my new subscribers who subscribe to the channel. I've seen a couple of new names. Thank you for subscribing, and I will be visiting other places like this, you know, on my adventures, and we do find some interesting places. So here we go, guys. We're going to look at the Beehive Mausoleum of Robert Cooke and his son Adolphus and the nurse Mary Kelly. And look at this, guys, isn't that just amazing? And I will put up photos. There is photos of what it looked like before it was cleaned up. You know, you have your ivy over it and all that kind of stuff. But this is the final resting place here of the Cooke family. And there's actually a way to go down in there, and I will go down around and show you. I just want to give you a kind of a bird's eye view as such as to what it looks like. Now, it did say online there was a hole at the very top, because when Robert passed away, he said he wanted to come back and be reincarnated as a bee, and there was a hole there. So I don't know, did the trust people that cleaned it up here must have filled in that. And how interesting would it be if you could see inside there? But it looks like to me, unfortunately, that hole was filled in. What an amazing structure. I've never seen one. I've never seen one actually in the whole world, to be honest, because I look at YouTube a lot. I've never seen a mausoleum in the shape of a beehive. And that was his wish. Reincarnation, guys. Wow. And look where he's buried. This beautiful old graveyard. So we're going to take a walk down. And this path here leads you directly down into the Cooke Mausoleum. Now when I was coming in, I just have to point this out. When I was coming in, I had to come in this way here. There's barbed wire there, there's a field, you have to come across a field. This church is just bang in the middle of nowhere. So it was quite a job getting here, but I'm glad I did. But look at this. Look at that, guys. That is the entrance into the Cooke Beehive Mausoleum. How amazing is that? And there's a plaque here, so I'm going to read the plaque for you. Now this would have been the main area here where the coffins would have been put in. So you can just see there it says, I'll try and shine the light on it as much as I can. I hope you can read. Within lie the mortal remains of Robert Cooke, Esquire, of Cooksborough, who died 1835, age 80 years old, and Adolphus, which is his son, Cooke, Esquire, of Cooksborough, died in 1876, age 84 years old. And just down there you can see Mrs. Mary Kelly of County Westmeath, and you can just see there nurse to Adolphus Cooke, who died in 1850, aged 95 years old. Rest in peace. And you can just see the writing there. So this mausoleum was restored in 2016. How interesting is that, guys? Robert Cooke, Adolphus his son, and Mary Kelly, who was the nurse for Adolphus Cooke, is also buried here. So he was buried with buried with his nurse. Amazing. And I just have to get out, stoop down, guys, because that is very, very low. That is about, I don't know how many feet that is, but it's very, very low. You have to stoop down when you go in there. So that's the plaque there, guys. I said I wanted to show you that. And the final resting place of the Cooke family. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I think Robert Cooke actually did have 2 children. He had no time for children, but he had 2 children, I think from a servant in the house. And those 2 children passed away. So the only son he had left was Adolphus, and he inherited whatever land and property his father had. I think Robert actually gave out one time. He was very, very harsh. He heard of a man who had 12 children and didn't have much time for them. He just didn't have a thing for children. He had more time for animals than human beings, apparently. Very, very strange character. Very, very strange life. Even in death, as we can see, wanted to be buried in a beehive-shaped mausoleum. And there it is, guys. A beehive mausoleum. And you've seen it here first on Grave Visitations channel. And there's that door where I was down there reading the plaque, so that's where you go in. Amazing. Now, why they done up this mausoleum and didn't touch the rest of the graveyard, I just don't know. Maybe they're in the process of doing that. I'm not quite sure, but beautiful church, beautiful graveyard, and a very, very interesting story of the Cooke family and their belief in reincarnation. He wanted to come back as a fox His son, Robert himself, wanted to come back as a bee. He believed he'd come back as a bee when he died. So there you go. So there you have it, guys. Very, very strange story. Very, very interesting at the same time. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free to subscribe. I will be going to more interesting places just like this all over the country and maybe even beyond. So thank you guys for coming along on this beautiful walk today here in this old graveyard here, John the Baptist Church and Graveyard in County Westmeath, and the final resting place of the Cooke family in that strange looking mausoleum. So I didn't see any bees in my journey, thankfully. So thanks for watching, guys, again, and I'll see you all on my next adventure. Take care.